listening to Who's Tom and Dick, a weekly podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers, fighting stage 4 lung cancer, and Patrick Mortimer, living with heart disease. Why not grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy the chatter as we discuss and share information, talking about tough subjects, and offering help, support, and motivation with a positive middle attitude.
Good morning, Patrick. How are you?
I'm fine, Martin. Sitting in your sunny garden.
I know, lovely.
Under the cherry blossom.
Yeah.
Is that cherry blossom?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, it is.
It's not a cherry blossom.
What is it then?
I think it might be an apple tree.
Oh, right. Yeah, it could be an apple tree, actually.
Because I think I had apples off it last year, so it's a bit of a clue.
Right. That's not a cherry blossom.
And I'll excuse myself today because I'm a bit husky.
Yeah, I can hear that.
So that's the weekend's wear and tear of my voice. We're sitting in the garden, getting ready to talk to a young lady.
Yes.
All about a different topic. Her name's Angharad Binder. Could it say that right?
That's right.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's doing something with Macmillan, which is called Nip It in the Bud. So it's not commonly known that farmers are lazy, but when it comes to work, certainly they're not. But getting their health checked out, that's a different matter. So today we're going to be talking about that. And who better than Angharad to let us know about it? So with her connection with the Macmillan Centre in Bury St Edmunds.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to tell us just a little bit about your background, where you come from and first.
Yeah, so I've grown up on a farm. My family have a farm and farm shop. So having grown up in that sort of industry, when I saw that Macmillan were working with the charity, the Farm and Community Network, I thought, perfect. I can put my nursing skills, because I went off and trained as a nurse, and can put that all together and bring it into this role where I look at health promotion in the farming community and health awareness and all things cancer and, like you say, our Nip It in the Bud campaign at the moment.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, do you think lots of farmers are lazy, that they don't, not lazy, that's the wrong word, that they don't get themselves checked out?
Yeah, I think that's what the project is here and about. Like you say, I'm not sure it's lazy, it's that putting it on the back burner, never prioritising themselves. And what we're really trying to say is do just that and see yourself as just as much as an asset on the farm as what your livestock is and what your machinery is. And there's so many reasons to put off getting things checked, but the bottom line is you just don't know. Anybody can get cancer at any point, and if you get things checked out sooner, you'll have a much better, less complex treatment plan, as if you leave and wait things until things are more complex later down the line.
Yeah, because you can bet that they will check if they work on with corn, they check their combine harvester.
Yeah.
Make sure that's working all right.
Exactly.
Make sure the tractor's working all right, but they need to check the person who's operating that.
Exactly that. And that's what we're saying is the minute your combine goes wrong in harvest particularly, you're on the phone straight away to get an engineer out, because that is a key piece of kit. But like you say, look at yourself. You need the operator to be well to harvest that. That's exactly what our campaign is about.
Do you think it's time constraints that limit farmers getting to the doctors?
Definitely.
Because obviously, most doctors' surgeries are really predominantly morning appointments, aren't they? Although some are stretching into afternoon and evening now. But is it because that's the busiest time for a farmer, isn't it?
Exactly that. And I think time does come into it. And the approach as well, often you have to sit on hold whilst you get through the queue. Or I think about my surgery, you have to be online straight away to submit your e-application before all the appointments go. And like you say, that's a really busy time, particularly if you've got livestock on the farm, when you're out and about doing those morning checks and feed. So time constraint is definitely something. And the fact that you can't always just get somebody to do those jobs for you. It's not an easy sort of, I'll just ask so-and-so to come and do that today. Actually, it's difficult to get somebody to come in and do those jobs that can maybe operate the machinery, things like that, to be able to do those jobs for you.
Yeah. So what kind of farm was it that you grew up on?
So we've got a mixture of some arable and livestock. And so livestock farming is where I say I know that you've got to be out there and doing things first thing often. And this time of year with lambing and calves being born, it's not, if you're needed on the farm, you're needed there and then. And you can't, if you've got some ewe in difficulty while she's lambing, you have to be there and then to do that. And calling the doctor suddenly goes on the back burner.
Yeah. So was your father slack at doing that then?
I was, yes, yeah. So, my dad has a cancer diagnosis.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, it's that getting things checked. And also what I'm really trying to say is, if you as a health professional see a farmer in front of you, knowing exactly what a big deal it is for them to be sat there in front of you and how difficult that has been to get off farm, take it seriously. Don't ask them to come back in a few weeks if things persist. Really looking at, has this persisted a long time before we've got to this point, and how easy it is also to have those checks. And when they say, oh, just book in for a blood test, and then actually that's another queue, isn't it? And another time you've got to plan to get out. So thinking about all of those aspects.
So what kind of cancer has your father got, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, he's got bowel cancer.
Yeah.
So it's been a different approach that we've had to look at as a family on the farm and pull in some extra help.
Mm-hmm.
And he will do what he can. I think this is the thing with farming, is it's a love of being out on the land and a real vocation. And if you can't do that, that becomes quite challenging, and I think can impact mental health as well. That we know the power of being outside is really, as we sat here today in this lovely garden,
that's right,
we know that being outside and things in itself is really good for our mental well-being.
Yeah.
So I think that plays a part as well.
So how long has your father been diagnosed? And what sort of stage is he with the cancer?
Yeah. So he was diagnosed 2 years ago, and it's stage 4.
Yeah.
So it's just like you, living with it. And what we're looking at as well, and I know Macmillan are really trying to push and look into, is that personalised care.
Yeah.
So what may work for you, it may not be suitable for somebody else. And we're saying, look at the farmer. They're not often going to stop that manual labour. They are still going to be wanting to be out there and doing things. So how can we make that as safe as possible? Because as you will have experienced, there's some days where you don't feel okay to drive your car, let alone operating heavy machinery. So looking at and having that understanding that may not stop that work.
So does he have people on the farm to help?
Yeah, we brought in a farm manager to help with that.
Good idea, because there will be days when his mind will tell him, oh yeah, I can do this, but his body just won't let him.
Exactly that.
That's what I get.
Yeah.
Every single day is a different day for me.
Exactly. He describes sort of a chemo brain fog some days.
That's exactly what I get, don't I? So I always say, he rings me up, how are you today? I'm so very muggy today.
Yeah.
But
a chemo brain fog, that's a good new one. We haven't heard that one, have we?
No, I like that.
So that's your future title for that illness when I ring you up.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised to find that people were less likely to survive in rural areas by 5%. Is that because of the access to facilities or the stubbornness to go and be checked out, do you think?
Yeah, that figure is something really that we're working on, because I don't think it's acceptable. I think, why just because you're living rurally, should that happen? But like you say, I think it is a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I think there are challenges with accessing rural healthcare and the understanding of that. Something I think about sometimes is those rural GP surgeries where you may worry about knowing who it is working at the surgery. Yes, healthcare is confidential, but it may be that you still ring up and know so-and-so that works at reception and things. And that's just part of a rural community. Those sorts of things that may make people think, oh, I'm not sure, I want to ring. And it's being reassured that, your confidentiality is maintained. And it is to say the challenge is also with putting off getting checked, but maybe thinking about, why do you put off getting checked? Is it because you think, actually, the what ifs? What if this is something and I don't want to think about what that could be and the challenges that will come with that if I do need treatment, operations, things like that. And it was like you say, the West Suffolk Hospital Macmillan Centre, when I popped in the other day, they very much said, they try and say, this is a period of time in your life and we will come over the other side. But for now, you have to just accept that there's something wrong and we need to get it treated and work through that to get out the other side in most cases.
I think that centre puts things so nicely when they explain things, rather than going into. I mean, you with your nurse training might know things, but I certainly don't know certain terms. And when they come out with different analogies, I think it's fantastic. So, and of course, it's not just cancer, is it, that we're talking about? There's other things that people need to get checked out as well. Absolutely. And that's the thing. We just don't know when these things are going to hit. We can't choose when we're going to become unwell. No.
And that's another part of what the Farming Community Network do, is encourage people to talk about succession and the future of their farms and planning ahead. And as a charity, we'll help to guide you and support you through those conversations. Because they're difficult conversations to have and not always ones that are people like to think about the future and how they'll hand that down. But we just can't decide, as I say, when illness may hit. And if we have a plan in place, a rough idea of what you want, then that just helps the next generation and to secure the future of the farm.
Yeah, I was surprised again to find out that there's more people with advanced cancer in rural communities. So I guess that goes with the 5% less likely chance to survive.
You've certainly looked up your figures, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do some homework, I do.
He's on the ball. Yeah, thank you.
So that goes in line with the 5% less likely to survive figure in urban areas, I guess, because they're more advanced.
Exactly that. So by the time you do get there, things are more complex and more difficult. So I think, like you say, it goes hand in hand with that, living rurally and encouraging to get out and knowing as well that you can get through to that surgery and the different things that GPs are doing now. If your surgery's full on the day, they can signpost you to 111 and things like that. So
analytics as well.
Exactly.
That's what I get from time to time for my blood tests.
Yeah.
I think this emphasises the fact that early diagnosis, is important. So if you've got something, your body is telling you something, then get it checked out.
And you don't have to be a farmer to do that. So
no, exactly.
We're just talking about farming today. So
the amazing thing is, obviously, farmers, if they get an ill animal, immediately they call the vet.
Yeah.
And they come running. So you can get a vet on call, but you can't get a doctor on call.
I know.
And I think it's recognising your signs and symptoms as well. Part of my role is about, as I said, health promotion. So understanding that these aches and pains aren't necessarily normal and just to be dealt with. It's knowing what the signs and symptoms are. And I think people know their livestock very well, and they are seeing their livestock day in, day out, and they know when something's a bit off. But maybe again it comes back to look at yourself, and just because those niggles are there with those aches and pains from maybe manual labour, people put it down to getting older. Farming on the whole, the average age of a farmer is rising, and so you think actually people expect a bit of a niggle here and there, but you should still be getting these things checked and not just put it off.
Yeah, I noticed because obviously the first time I found out about you was from Macmillan, and they gave me a leaflet. You do presentations. Is that yourself that does the presentation?
Yes.
So what would a typical presentation be like?
Yeah, so it'll probably be me, and equally we have volunteers. So the Farming Community Network is a UK-wide charity, and every county has a volunteer group. So here in Suffolk, we have a great group of volunteers that can also help with talks and presentations. So we'll talk to you a bit about the work of the Farming Community Network and the support that we can offer, and go over those signs and symptoms of cancer and looking at how we can help those that are there to go away feeling that they could recognise something if it wasn't quite right and know that they should get things checked.
And you do like a slideshow and...
Yeah. I've got some, like you say, PowerPoints, and we can do things more light-hearted as well for younger groups, such as maybe young farmers. We don't want to overwhelm. We want them to be engaged. So things like quizzes and that sort of approach is quite a good one.
So we're obviously in the county of Suffolk in England. So if you need to, how would we get in contact with you on that? Is it called Nip in the Bud?
Yeah, Nip It in the Bud.
Nip It in the Bud.
Yeah, Nip It in the Bud campaign. If you put into Google the Farming Community Network, our website comes up and that navigates you to the right spot with all the contact details on there.
Yeah, and you're obviously saying to people how they can get involved. So they download the toolkit.
Yep.
With the QR code.
Yes.
And and then all the graphics and things that are on there, are they?
Yeah, and we've got posters and things to go out in communities as well, and we can always post those out to people if anyone was listening and wanted to get hold of some of our posters. Our posters are quite different to what you'd normally see. We have some very agricultural photos that tie in with the signs and symptoms to try and capture, say, the attention of farmers. So they're quite good to have out in the community. So we can, as I say, post those out. We've got graphics that can go on social media or shared in newsletters, all those sorts of things to try and just keep going with our message of get things checked and nip it in the bud.
So what is the Farming Community Network, FCN?
So, the Farming Community Network is our charity that is about having someone like-minded on the end of the phone. So we've got a helpline open from 7 a.m. till 11 at night that is mostly manned by our volunteers, like I said, that we have in each county. And if you are having a difficult day or particularly want answers on something, give us a call. It's a network, as it says, and although we don't give advice, we can signpost to people that we think will be useful or know how to help, and we will very much walk with you through that time of change or difficulty. And it's having someone like-minded that gets it on the end of the phone. And
who is a farmer as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Good having a guy from industry or something like that.
Exactly.
They've obviously, some of them have gone through the same thing that person will have gone through.
Very much so. It can be quite isolating working rurally, and you don't always have that colleague there to give you a nudge and say, are you sure that, or run things through and ideas and whatnot. So having the ability to pick up the phone and know someone that will get it.
And also encourage you to say, like, there's a couple of people working together on a farm to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because so many, I think men, I mean, we spoke about piles last week on our podcast, didn't we? And someone actually texted me and said, congratulations for talking about a subject that you never hear men talk about.
No.
So men need to talk more.
Definitely. I think women are more open about discussing ailments, but also probably work with more people around them to have those conversations. But men particularly, will bury their head in the sand and not want to reach out. I think it comes back to that looking at trying to be the provider and not want to be knocked down by any ill health, quite stoic in nature. And it comes down to maybe those ideas of how you view yourself, which we have to challenge. That's the only way we're going to progress.
I think because farms are sort of in families for generations and they're passed down, the man still sort of carries this role as provider to the household and to the farm. So he's got to be this strong character. Do you think there's a stigma around showing any weakness around health issues as a farmer?
Yeah, I think unfortunately that is probably why we're having to do this work. I think people do see, ill health as a sign of weakness, which it absolutely isn't. As we've said, it's a period often in your life that things are changing and you have to accept that maybe you can't do all that you used to do. But in order to carry on and thrive and see the farm thrive, we have to acknowledge that and work through that, because illness isn't a sign of weakness. As I say, you can try and live a healthy lifestyle and equally still things come and knock you down. Cancer doesn't pick and choose, we know that. And so it's just one of those things that is unfortunate that it could happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And so anybody can become an FCN farm well worker. volunteer, can't they?
Yeah, so people can look on our website and get all the details there and get in touch if they think they'd like to be a volunteer. So our volunteers, as I said, some of them will help on the helpline, some will do some walking with people, and others will do some more of our maybe events and things. So we go to like the agricultural shows over the summer and try and have a presence there, as many as possible. So there's some good volunteering.
I saw you got the Hadley show on your.
I do.
There?
I will be at the Hadley show. I've got quite a big role this year as show director. So
Wow.
That's also keeping me very busy. The agricultural shows, I think, are a good way for farmers to come together and showcase what they've been working on over the last year or so, but they have a really good way. I think the shows are a great way to bring people together socially and offer that connection there.
And do you get involved with the Suffolk show as well? Or?
Yeah, my husband is heavily involved with the Suffolk show. So for us, show season is a busy one.
Yeah. So what would you do? You'd have a stand there, would you?
Yes, yeah, have a stand. And just trying to circulate at the shows as well, because not everybody might find your stand on the show, but sometimes just being around and about, having those conversations with people, it's a good way to just spread the message that there is support there.
And what dates are the Hadley show?
Hadley show is Saturday the 17th of May.
Mm-hmm.
So we are on countdown for that.
And that's Hadley in Suffolk, not Hadley in Essex.
Yes, Hadley in Suffolk. That one will have, as I say, livestock, equine horses, BMX bikes, motorbikes, all the sort of country show type things there.
Mm. Yeah. Do you have music?
Yes, we've got a radio station that does a stage for us, so there's some music there, and we've got a nice foodie area with, again, some music in the background, so you can have a drink, bite to eat with a bit of music.
And that was the 17th of May?
Yes.
So we've talked mainly about cancer, and rightly so, because of your father suffering from bowel cancer. How do you treat and make the community aware about heart disease?
Yeah, so that's less of my area of expertise, but it comes down to that same bottom line message of not accepting that those niggles that you might feel out and about on the farm, breathlessness, and tiredness, not accepting that that's just normal, because it's something, again, to get checked early. Just as with cancer, it's one that doesn't necessarily decide. There's genetics involved as well there, and bearing all those sorts of things in mind to make sure that you're fit and well, and those looking as well there's some good places in the community, particularly in Suffolk. There's the Be Well bus, and if you go online you can see where their website is, but they offer blood pressure checks out in rural communities. So engaging with things like that, if it is more challenging to get to your GP surgery and you think, I just want to keep an eye on my blood pressure, those sorts of things, those initiatives that are out in the community are really good to tap into and utilise.
I didn't know about the Be Well bus.
Yes, yeah.
A good example of what you can get out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bus that tries to have some health professionals on board, and they go about the community, different events, and they'll have different people on board as well. But it is somewhere you can go and get things checked.
In heart disease, it's been proven now that heart disease can be hereditary. It certainly is in my case. My father had it. My brother's got it. I've got it. So probably making farmers aware if their parents or there's heart disease in the family would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
It is a silent killer, and 1 in 10 cardiac arrests outside of hospital survive. That's a horrendous statistic. Defibrillators. Have you got defibrillators on your farm?
We do, but that's because we've got the farm shop as well, and we have in years gone by have had incidents of somebody that needed CPR, and that absolutely made us think we need one here. So we do, but it, just as you were saying, defibrillators, it was making me think of just that. And some actually rural communities do have them, don't they? Village halls and things, and
phone boxes, the old phone boxes.
And it's knowing how they work, taking a few minutes to think sometimes some of them have a pin, don't they? And just making yourself know that actually where it is and how to access it, And also, I would always say, educate yourself in a bit of CPR. With a nursing background, it's something that we do as mandatory training and things as part of your role. But we know the power of CPR, and that actually, if you can get that in as soon as possible, then your outcomes are much, much better.
Well, we did a podcast on how to use them, didn't we? One of the podcasts, and then I send him pictures when I'm on holiday if I see one.
Yeah.
Because Patrick's involved with it in Sudbury, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a trustee of a charity in Sudbury of providing a defibrillator within 2 minutes of every home.
Yeah.
We always say to our listeners, just find out where your defib is.
Yeah.
Just in case one day you need to know where it is and you're going to go directly to it.
Yeah.
But,
absolutely.
It's important to have a defib on a farm because you're in a very rural community. And should one of your staff or family members have a cardiac arrest, then the last thing you want to do is be chasing 2 or 3 miles down the road for a defib.
Yeah, and I'm sure they could reach out and find information if they were unsure from various charities that will support them to help them get those out on farm. Yeah.
So what do you think is the best way to raise awareness in the community, rural community, given that houses are stretched apart by miles of countryside?
Yes. So what we're doing is trying to take services to rural communities. As I mentioned, the agricultural shows, it's being where those communities are and trying to get that message out there and be amongst that community. So whether it be a little church group, village hall meetings, things like that, taking your services out to them and not relying on people having to come out and to town centres and appointments and all those sorts of things, doing what you can where the people are and having some sort of incentive often helps. We run farm well events within our charity and there'll often be maybe a bacon roll available, something like that, and a nice social event to try and encourage people to come out and engage with you. Yeah.
And how is your father coping with it all?
Yeah, it's a challenge, as you all both know, with chemotherapy, ups, downs, and take each day as it comes. But I think it's getting out to do what you can do and what you can enjoy, and that accepting that life is just at a different pace to what it once was. Making those changes to still have that enjoyment there is really important.
Is he still undergoing chemotherapy?
Yes.
Yeah. I've just finished mine and I'm on immunotherapy now.
Yeah.
Is he a positive person?
Yes. Yeah. He will always try and see the positives. I think it is with treatment, there are days when it is more difficult to do that, though. I think that's just the reality when you feel rubbish and you can't do what you want to do. The side effects, maybe nausea, things like that come with chemotherapy. Those days are never going to be good days. But taking the better ones and thinking, the weather helps. This lovely, spring weather we've got really helps, I think, boost your mood and encourages you to get out and enjoy.
Well, I love sitting in this garden. It's just so peaceful. You can hear it's peaceful.
Yeah, the birds are twittering away, aren't they?
Kids are off school, so we had a couple of children earlier that I could hear, but that's about all you get up here. It's so lovely.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you very much for joining us, Angharad. It's been an eye-opener. And we wish you luck with the Hadley show.
Yeah.
And the Suffolk show.
And the Suffolk show, yeah.
And the date for the Suffolk show, you didn't give us that one. It's the 27th and 28th of May.
Don't keep putting her on the spot.
No, it's only because I saw a huge big banner.
The signs,
signs
are going out, aren't they?
Yeah. But, you can get online anyway and find out where the Suffolk show is and the Hadley show as well.
And what is the website address for your farm and community network?
www. I would say.
Oh dear, I'll put her on the spot now.
I just know if you put it into the search engine, Farming Community Network, it'll come up with the website.
Okay, well, I'll make sure I put it on our website.
Yeah, I did have the poster. I've got the poster on my phone. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming and joining us.
Thank you for having me.
On this lovely day.
It's been brilliant. Well, thankfully, Martin, that's another great episode, I think.
Yeah, and it didn't rain.
No, and we haven't had to put up with your joke of the week, which is always a bonus.
I normally do a joke of the week, but when we have a guest, I'm banned from doing it.
Oh, no. I'm always,
Next week, I'll have another one. So
brilliant.
Okay, well, lovely to see you, mate.
Yeah, and you. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget, keep that positive mental attitude, everybody.
See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Who's Tom and Dick podcast with your hosts, Martin Weavers and Patrick Mortimer. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite streaming platform. New episodes are available every Friday. Thanks for tuning in.